Now, in Australia, the government is being warned by their own leftist think tanks, their favourite leftist think tanks, I should say, about their renewable industry that they are supporting through subsidies. Our Climate Change Minister, Chris Bowen, has just announced a $1 billion grant going towards the domestic production of solar panels. Now, Alex, does Australia have any hope of selling these solar panels at a profit when competing against Chinese options, cheap Chinese options built by Uyghur slave labour?
Well, yeah, one of the issues is slave labor. Another issue is low environmental standards. Another big issue is China's a lot more willing to use coal. China's very focused on cheap energy. That's why they have something like 300 new coal plants in the pipeline, which, by the way, is more coal capacity than the whole existing coal capacity of the United States. So it doesn't seem very promising. And again, even if you're making those solar panels, there's a question of how do you produce reliable electricity? So if the renewable people, I mean, Bowen doesn't know anything. I don't know why he's still in any kind of office there. We've talked about him. But if they want to create any kind of power that's competitive, they should actually take responsibility for providing reliable power, which means you don't just do random solar panels and then screw up the grid by putting on electricity when the sun happens to be shining. Actually deliver reliable electricity by providing the battery backup or whatever backup yourself. Then we'll see how cheap you actually are.
Yeah, I don't know how Chris Bowen is in the job either. Now, you're right that Joe Biden is asking companies to weigh in on global warming in the name of climate disclosures. You're right. What opinions are companies with no distinct knowledge of climate science, economics, supposed to disclose to the government about these subjects? The opinions of the government asking for them, of course. So what is the point of this, Alex? What is the point of companies regurgitating Biden's own anti-fossil fuel propaganda?
Well, just so people understand, and if people go to alexepstein.substack.com, they can see the full article. But basically, companies are being asked to do disclosure. And disclosure seems like an innocent thing, right? Hey, you're just disclosing information that's important. And this is called climate disclosure. But the issue is companies already disclose everything relevant to climate, that like a real estate company discloses, hey, are you near sea levels? Are you near the ocean and this kind of thing? What they want to do is have the companies disclose their opinions on the future of climate science. But the companies don't know anything about this. Why would an investor look to a real estate company, say, for opinions on climate science? So when the company is being asked to disclose its opinions on climate science, guess what opinions are going to be rewarded, and guess what opinions are going to be punished? The opinions of the administration are going to be rewarded, and opinions that are contrary to the administration are very likely to be punished, or at least make you much more vulnerable. So this is really a violation of the First Amendment in the U.S., freedom of speech. You're really coercing companies into spewing anti-fossil fuel climate catastrophe propaganda. And what that does is then every corporation is saying climate change is an existential threat. We got to get off fossil fuels. Well, then that helps dupe the American public. We're already seeing this with companies like Apple and Google claiming they're 100% renewable, which is a total lie. But that makes us think 100% renewable is good. Well, if every company is spewing anti-fossil fuel propaganda, then the public is going to be much more likely to vote for anti-fossil fuel policies that are very much against their interests.
Now, the Biden administration is also declaring a war on liquefied natural gas, halting LNG expansion in the name of lowering prices and reducing emissions. But what will actually be happening here? What is going to happen when we have this LNG pause?
I mean, let's just think about this. I mean, didn't we just have Russia invade Ukraine, which put a strain on a global energy market that was already short of fossil fuels, particularly natural gas? Europe realized it was dangerously dependent on Russia. The US helped save the day, including with liquefied natural gas. And what does Biden do? He says, hey, let's not build any new liquefied natural gas facilities. As far as I can tell, and again, this is at alexepstein.substack.com, he just listened to some TikTok influencers who told him that to seem serious on climate change, he needed to do something. And this felt like something. I mean, this is just unbelievably irresponsible. We have so much natural gas in the United States. Some argue that we have a Saudi Arabia's worth of additional natural gas, but we need to build pipelines. We need to build export facilities. And Biden is saying, hey, don't do this. And at any given time, if enough TikTok people tell me to not allow things, I'm just going to shut you down. What kind of message is that to industry? What does that mean for our future? It's very ominous.
It is, and we're seeing it right here in Victoria. We're also sitting on a lot of gas reserves, but we're looking forward to having a gas shortage, perhaps even next winter, because there's no exploration. Now, before you go, the Washington Post is in hysterics over temperature records in March. They're saying that it was the hottest March on Earth in history. Now, can you set us straight? Is that accurate? Is this the hottest March ever?
I mean, when they say this, there's so many fallacies about temperature. I mean, the Earth was so much warmer throughout its history. Now, the Earth, for a lot of its history, had no ice at all. It was a much more tropical place. So it was something like, around 14 degrees Celsius warmer from doing the conversion properly, about 25 degrees Fahrenheit warmer for huge amounts of history. So it's just total nonsense. What people are trying to do is they're trying to make our CO2 levels today and our temperatures today seem quote unquote unprecedented. So it feels like, oh my gosh, we're in uncertain territory. Who knows what's going to happen? If people want to know the full story of this, read chapter 9 of my book, Fossil Future. I document everything, but basically we're 1/10 the CO2 that we've been throughout much of the history of the planet. We have no way of getting even a quarter of the way there. We're warming slowly at a cold time in the planet's history where far more people die of cold than of heat, and where we're safer from both heat and cold because of energy from fossil fuels. So on a too cold planet for most people, how is it any solution to get rid of the fossil fuels that keep us safer from heat, cold, every form of climate disaster, and really just the poverty of nature? It just makes no sense unless you really don't care about human beings, which is my conclusion about a lot of the leaders of this movement.
Well, I think, you've hit the nail on the head. They don't care about human beings. This is an ideology. Alex Epstein, thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thanks, Rita.